My son can't tell you one Nas record. You heard? Like, let's keep it a buck.
You made a comparison with you and Nas, man. Everybody was talking about it. Now, why out of everybody you pick Nas, bro?
I didn't do it.
They asked him.
No,
they asked him.
You're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that, but you haven't done that much for me in my life. Like, I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life.
The new song?
No.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
Oh, what's so great is Hooligan?
It's so good.
Came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them. Some of them know. But
you know what I mean?
A lot of them know.
Remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade. So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like, you dig? Came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then, as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals will be idols, and not to take anything away from that. I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
Jim Jones picked the wrong giants to come for. Nas and Pusha T, straight up legends, and he tried to clown both of them back to back like he had nothing left to lose. Now his whole music career is dangling by a thin little string. That's all it took for the whole culture to flip on him.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening, bro.
Meanwhile, he went on record saying Nas was never really that impactful, calling Pusha T overrated, and bragging that he was the reason Nas went viral again. And folks say that was the moment he stomped across a line he'll never cross back over. Because what started popping off after that didn't feel like a normal rap beef at all. It looked like something way bigger was brewing behind the curtains. Now everybody's asking, was this just another ego-fueled meltdown? Or was Jim getting quietly pushed out by the same culture he once helped build up?
That influential to Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that
but listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit of run.
He quote is still echoing all over the internet. His Summer Jam set got slashed, and trust, Pusha T is not finished with him yet. Let's run it back real quick and see what really kicked off this slow-motion downfall. That one sentence was the spark that lit the whole thing on fire. It wasn't just some casual shade. It was a total erasure of Nas's entire legacy, a legacy that shaped hip-hop into what it is. And don't forget, Jim didn't drop this on just any random show. He unleashed that bomb on the Joe and Jada podcast, a spot known for chill talk, not for dropping career-ending shots. And instead of pulling back, Jim puffed up his chest and went even harder with it. He flat out said Nas never meant much to the culture and claimed his own Billboard numbers could match, maybe even crush, Nas's stats. Can you believe that? Let's get something straight. Nas isn't just some rapper dropping mixtapes for clout. He's a whole pillar of hip-hop. Illmatic is so iconic, it's taught in college classes. Ether still gives seasoned rappers cold sweats at night. And King's Disease showed he's nowhere near done. He's leveling up with every album. Meanwhile, Jim's out here acting like he just delivered another Chronic or something. The wildest part? This wasn't really about rap at all. It was pure ego dressed up as an opinion. You could feel the insecurity leaking through every word. And then he dragged his kid into it. Like, seriously? What kind of example is that supposed to be? The internet clapped back fast. Folks started posting side-by-side receipts. Every Nas award, every sold-out arena, every timeless record, just to remind Jim who he was trash-talking. And while Nas's trophies were getting paraded all over timelines, Jim's chart stats looked flimsy in comparison.
He told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear and shit, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that.
All this chaos because he thought he could rewrite history with a hot take nobody needed. Most people would have at least cooled off after the backlash, maybe issued some kind of half apology or tried to dial it down. But not Jim. He pulled up on Nightcap, stared Shannon Sharpe dead in the eye, and tripled down. He said Nas never had the influence people think, and then capped it off by claiming Nas was always stuck in second place.
Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
Ain't no shame in that. There a lot of mofos came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album.
Pause for a second. Second place to who exactly? Jay-Z and DMX? Those three never even played the same game. Nas was all about spirit, poetry, and deep reflection. Jay was the blueprint for corporate hustle. DMX brought raw chaos and straight-up pain. Comparing them is like trying to pit Kendrick against Future, totally different beasts with different missions. But to say Nas never led the pack, that's not just some wild opinion, that's straight-up rewriting history. And here's the kicker. Jim doesn't even pretend he was never a fan. He's on record admitting that when he was a teenager, he wanted to dress just like Nas. That's facts. Think about it. Dude is dragging up a movie from 1998 as the excuse to dismiss an entire 30-year run in music. That's where the real delusion starts creeping in. Because this ain't about chart stats anymore. It's not even about personal opinions. Jim sounds like a man desperate to push Nas down under him and furious that the receipts don't back up the fantasy. This was all about clout and positioning. Jim wanted folks to see him in the same light as the certified greats. But all he did was show the world how insecure he feels about never being named with them. And if you thought Jim was finally going to pump the brakes, think again. Because when he jumped on Bag Fuel, he let loose with one of the wildest lines in this whole mess. He didn't just claim Nas wasn't relevant. He didn't just say Nas was always second best. No, Jim didn't stop there. He went even further and claimed he was the one who brought Nas back to viral life. He acted like the whole culture should be sending him a thank you card for reminding everybody Nas existed. The reactions were instant and brutal. One fan clapped back, "The reason you're even getting talked about is because you keep making stupid comments about Nas. That's the only reason people are interviewing you. For the clicks." Another person wrote, "The amount of delusional disrespect coming from Jim Jones toward Nas is getting out of hand. I'm sick of it. You get no stripes for talking like this." And the math still wasn't adding up. Nas had been out here putting in real work. 3 albums in 5 years, a Grammy win, and show after show sold out to the rafters. While Nas was grinding, Jim was busy sitting on podcasts. He really thought he was sparking some new trend. What he actually did was kick off his own slow-motion funeral march.
What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. Ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some shit like this where people were comparing was when him and Jay was beating on him. You heard? You did? Like, and I don't want to talk about other people's career, but let's just get to the semantics of it.
Since the whole
Nas.
Okay.
I don't know Nas to have a conversation with him. You don't have a conversation, we can have that too and shit like that. You dig? Like, I don't really care.
Let's roll it back to 2024 for a second. The crowd at the Louis Vuitton Spring-Summer Show in Paris was stacked with legends. Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Rihanna, LeBron. Every big name in music, fashion, and culture was in the building. Cameras were flashing non-stop. Pharrell was stepping out with his first collection as the new head of Louis Vuitton Men's, and it already felt like history was happening right in front of everyone. Then the beat dropped, and this wasn't just any track. It was Clipse. For the first time in over a decade, Pusha T and his brother No Malice were back, premiering a brand new record. And the minute those lyrics hit, you could feel the whole energy in the room flip. Even Jay-Z was vibing to it in the front row. This wasn't just a little shade. This was a straight-up declaration of war dropped right in the middle of the season's biggest event. And those lyrics? They said everything without naming a soul. Everybody in that crowd knew exactly who Pusha T was aiming at. That bar about chasing a feature out of your element was a clean shot at Jim for cozying up to Drake after getting crowned honorary Dipset on stage in Harlem. And let's be real, that's the same Drake who Pusha torched with The Story of Adidon and who still hasn't fully bounced back from that firestorm.
He hit the stage, crickets.
But this wasn't Pusha clapping back on SoundCloud like some underground mixtape. Nah, this was strategy. Pusha picked Paris Fashion Week as the backdrop for his ambush, proving he's playing chess while everybody else is stuck on checkers. That's how many moves ahead he thinks. Meanwhile, Jim kept popping up on Breakfast Club, Rap Caviar, and Drink Champs, dragging Pusha's name every chance he got. He tried to clown him by saying, "Pusha's not even top 50, like that was supposed to stick. But instead of jumping into the podcast circuit to defend himself, Pusha lined up billionaires, luxury brands, and legends in the front row for his payback. That's a different level of flex. And you can't ignore the layers here. It wasn't just the lyrics, it was the setting. Pharrell produced that track, the same Pharrell who helped build Clipse's whole sound from the ground up, who reps Virginia to the core, and who's tight with fashion's elite inner circle. They dropped Chains and Whips, a track rumored to have been cooked up right inside Louis Vuitton's Paris HQ, overlooking the Seine River. Pharrell even told the New York Times that he pointed out the window and said, "This was made in this room. We just started walking around, looking out, and you see all of this. I mean, we beating the system, bro."
Can you sing along the 5 Pusha T records right now? His records.
Yes.
His records?
Yeah.
Name
I
them.
love Pusha. Nostalgia.
Oh, you was a Pusha T fan. I didn't know he had fans like that. Can you name 5 Pusha T records? No, his records. Pusha T, I love your soul, my dog. You're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that, but you haven't done that much for me in my life. Like, I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life. I never thought, like you dig, like, where I'm from, niggas want to be like you if you was really that dude and that rapper and things like that.
Wayne wanted to be like Pusha?
Shit.
He was influenced by Pusha?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's why Pusha did the Mr. Me Too record.
Okay, cool. You a very strong Pusha T fan. But what else has he bring to the game? Did he make people want to dress like him? Did he have some slang that everybody was talking like him? There would be the girls, all the girls wanted to do him. Like, what is the...
But while Pusha was busy playing chess in Paris, Nas was back in Queens, quietly building an empire. While Jim was out here chasing cheap blog headlines, Nas was launching Resorts World Queens, a massive 350,000 square foot casino complex backed by a $5 billion vision. This wasn't some little business collab for clout. This was Nas putting real money into infrastructure, equity, and generational wealth for an entire borough. Meanwhile, Jim's somewhere bragging about Summer Jam bookings like it's still 2008. Nas didn't have to clap back with bars. He dropped receipts that hit harder than any diss track ever could. Fans clocked it instantly. The comments under Nas's posts were savage. One person wrote, "Someone else who can't stop yapping is worried about going viral. Nas out here making boss moves." Another said, "When you're really rich, really respected, and really relevant, you don't even need to talk back. You let your life speak." And while Nas was leveling up, Jim was out here getting booed off stage. Let's paint the picture. Summer Jam 2024. Jim Jones finally gets his chance to step up and own the moment. He'd been chasing relevance all year, but the second he stepped on that stage, nothing but crickets. And then it got even uglier. Funkmaster Flex, the same Flex who used to ride hard for Jim, cut his set short without warning. You could see it hit Jim right there in the moment. This was supposed to be his big comeback, but all the noise he stirred up around the beef didn't mean a thing because he didn't bring any real hits, just messy drama. But even after all that, Jim still wasn't ready to bow out. He had one last diss locked and loaded, and this one was personal. After the Louis Vuitton show, Pusha didn't say much out loud, but behind the scenes, word spread quick. He wasn't anywhere near finished. Sources close to Clipse say their reunion album is stuffed with surgical bars aimed straight at Jim's head. That track they premiered in Paris? Just the opening shot. The rest of the project is way darker. Some insiders are already calling it the Coke Bear moment because Pusha is fully stepping into the villain role. He's not watering anything down. And if Jim keeps running his mouth, it's about to be lyrical murder on wax. And it's not only about the verses, it's the whole setup. While Pusha is plotting his return inside elite spaces with billionaires watching, Jim is out here rapping in Harlem alleyways over the same exact beat he just got buried on. Yeah, you heard that right. Jim tried to flip the chains and whips beat and dropped his own freestyle as a comeback. He even tried to drag No Malice into it, and that's where he straight up crossed the line. Pusha can handle the shots, but bringing up No Malice, a man who stepped away from rap to find his faith and turn his whole life around, that's not just a diss, that's straight disrespect. Pusha hasn't clapped back in public yet, but if history's any clue, he doesn't jump out the gate swinging. He moves with strategy, and when he finally responds, it's always lethal. And then Jim made his biggest blunder yet. He publicly trashed Clipse's new single on camera during an interview. He tried to act like he was too cool to care, saying he doesn't listen to Clipse and never has. But you could see it. The fake chill cracked, and all that insecurity came spilling out. Deep down, he knew he was the target, and they cooked him bad. This is the point where the energy shifted. Because now, it wasn't just Nas and Pusha pressing him. The whole culture started shutting the door in his face. The blogs were dragging him non-stop. Even the fans who used to rep Dipset heavy were tapping out, telling him to just stop embarrassing himself.
Viral on the Spotify Rap Caviar podcast.
Yes.
About
And
Pusha T.
People don't like people, yeah, see? There we go. And then look what happens. But I'm ready for all things, man. Shouts to Pusha, shouts to that guy, shouts to the Clipse. You know what I mean? Congratulations.
Do you like the new song?
No, but you know.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
What's so great about it?
It's so good.
It's good.
It's so, oh man.
It's good.
So yeah, there's something going on that you ain't telling us about,
it's
bro.
It's good in what? A nostalgic value of it.
You don't think Ace Trumpets is
believe
hard?
it. I don't believe them. But that's a whole nother story. I don't want to downplay them.
This wasn't just a rap beef. This was a full-on lesson in knowing your lane. Jim Jones thought he could step into the heavyweight ring with Nas and Pusha T and trade bars like he was on their level. Instead, he got folded up by silence, chess moves, and billionaire plays he never saw coming. He's not trending anymore. He's not sitting on the playlists. He's a ghost wandering around his own game. And here's the real twist. The next Clipse album hasn't even dropped yet. That might end up being the real funeral. If you thought this saga was wild, just wait. There's more coming. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the next chapter. See you on the next one.